Let me introduce you to Pokemon Infernal Light and Pokemon Celestial Dark, a brand new Fakemon region created by trainer Mats on Instagram, and it is based in Scandinavia. So there are heaps of Vikings references, Norse mythology references, and just all countries in Scandinavia. And I'm a big fan of Norse mythology, so I'm very excited to get into this. You can choose either Sigurd or Freya as your trainer, both perfect names that fit the region. And our professor is Professor Spruce, and we have our 3 starters here, so let's have a look at them. And this region is called Norden, obviously based on Norse mythology. The name is very, very similar. First is Leafane, which is a grass pony kind of Pokemon. Now, I'm going to try to find references as best as I can to my knowledge of Norse mythology to a lot of these and to Vikings and everything like that. Now, the reason I think they might have done a horse Pokemon to start with for the starter is because of Odin's horse Sleipnir, which is an 8-legged horse that Odin rides. Also, keep in mind, I'm probably going to pronounce some of these words wrong, but we'll see how we go. The middle evolution for the grass starter is Florane, obviously looking a bit more like an adult, a bit more like a horse now rather than a pony. We've got Oroquine, our final evolution, which is now a grass and fairy type for our grass starter, which is very cool. Now the fire starter is Flamer, which looks like a hound. I think might be based on Garm, which is a hound that guards the gates of hell. Our middle hound is definitely getting bigger. Now the collar's got some spikes on it. Infernal is definitely looking pretty evil now. It has to be linked to Garm. I'm very confident with that now. He's got the spiked collar. He's got the flame tails, the flames coming off his collar. Definitely looks very evil, and it is a fire ghost type, which is really cool. And our water starter is Yolark, which is a wolf kind of Pokemon, which is very interesting. Looks like it's got some bands around its waist and its tail, maybe in reference to the Vikings armband, which is very, very significant to them. And it could be based off a wolf because of the links to Fenrir, which is the son of Loki, which is a giant wolf. It looks like the armband has now come off. I'm not sure why that's on the side of the head there, but maybe he's used like a weapon, which is very cool. Maybe not linked to Fenrir anymore. Fenrir is definitely very evil and dark kind of beast. And obscuring our water final starter, and that is a water and dark type. And now it looks like it uses the rings as maybe a weapon, which is very interesting. Ravens are very, very important. Odin has 2 ravens himself, Hugin and Munin. So to have a raven Pokemon, Ravhen is a dark and flying type, and it evolves into Corvise, which is very interesting. Similar to Corviknight in the name, but also kind of in the look as well, which is okay. And finally into Crowskill, which looks very cool. I love that. The skull around its face, the red eyes, looks very evil and very, very cool. Going into the Route 1 bug now, we've got Antella, which looks kind of cute, but I do love the little teeth that it's got. And then evolves into Rappoon, and then finally into Mothrill. That looks very cool as well. I love how the face, especially the teeth, are similar to the base evolution, so that's really nice. Squirrush. Now, squirrels are very popular animals that can be found all around Scandinavia, especially in Sweden. A normal grass type. This looks really cool. I love the leaves coming off the tail. It evolves into Squirimba, which is very cool. Not on all 4s anymore. It's bipedal. Still got the leaves coming around, which is very nice. Looks very friendly. Now we've got what looks like our Pika clone, which is called Lemmizen, which I think is a lemming and frozen together. I think there's going to be a lot of ice type references. Obviously, if you think of Scandinavia, it's very, very cold. Next, we have Goatzel, which is very cool. Just a normal type Pokemon. Looks pretty neat. And that evolves into Spargo. This actually has a split evolution. We've got Spargo, which is the storm Pokemon, or we've got Flaries, which is the normal fire type Pokemon. I think both of these are references to Thor's goats. Thor has 2 goats that pull his chariot. Next, we've got Netta, which is a grass and poison, which looks very, very cute. I like that. I love it's got like poisonous spikes on it though, which evolves into Dansettle. Doesn't look so dangerous anymore, though it does have the poison tips on it. And then finally into Nettles, which looks kind of cool as well. Next, we've got Prankcross, which is Prank and Frost together for an Ice Psyche type. Kind of reminds me of Mr. Mime a little bit, but I wonder if they've got a pranking Pokemon because of Loki. He's known as a prankster, so maybe there is some kind of tie there. And it evolves into Freaksia, which has 2 forms. It has a day form and a night form. So the day form looks kind of creepy, not too bad, but the night form definitely looks creepy, giving us big Joker vibes there, I think, in the colors as well. Next, we have a water type Squiddicle, obviously based on a squid, and that one looks pretty cute. I don't mind him at all. It evolves into Distraken, which is based on obviously a Kraken. It has Kraken in the name, and it's got like spears or arrowheads for its tentacles at the front here, which is very cool. Next, we have a regional Gibble, which is actually a dragon and water type. Definitely going back to its shark kind of form here. Our Gabite as well, definitely looking like a shark, especially because it's like, I guess, lying down or definitely moving through the water, kind of like a shark now. And then we've got our Garchomp as well, looking really, really cool. Not too different from the original form, which is kind of not too bad, actually. Next, Taliscute, which obviously combines Talisman and Cute together. This might be based on the Vegvisor, which is the Nordic compass or the Norse compass, which you see is quite common around in Nordic culture, especially on lots of people's tattoos and stuff like that. So it could be a touch to that maybe. It evolves into Shadream as well, which is a psychic and ghost type, which is very, very cool. Kind of also looks like a dream catcher. Red Tweet here looks kind of cute. I don't mind that as all. Just a pure fire type, not a flying type, which is interesting. Evolves into Phone Wheat, which is interesting. All right, still fire. And then fire psychic actually for Majestings. Now, Phoenixes don't have any reference in Nordic culture at all, but there is a lot of being reborn in Nordic culture. Serimna, which is a pig, which actually gets slaughtered and eaten every single night, and just each night gets eaten, and it keeps being reborn. Also, Thor's goats that I mentioned before also have the ability to be reborn. So being reborn is not a foreign concept, which obviously Phoenixes are known for. Cubhite is very cute. I do like that at all. I do like my foxes. This is an ice type fox Pokemon, which is very, very cute, and evolves into Glacial, which is very nice. I like that a lot, actually. That's really cool. Obviously standing on 2 legs. It's an ice and fighting type. And the final evolution is Fangum. Remember I talked about Garm before, which is one of the dogs that guards the gates of hell. Obviously a fire doggo, but this is an ice version, but it's definitely based off that dog, which is very, very cool. Next is Woodrow, which is a grass Pokemon, and trolls are pretty big in Norse mythology. They live in the mountains and in the rocks and the caves and stuff like that. Evolves into Mytroll, definitely off a troll here, and then finally into Trollosis. Drachantum is very cool. Definitely looks like a Viking ship. Viking ships are very, very famous and prominent, especially with the big dragon head at the front of the boat, which is very cool, and this is a ghost and water type. Stuffhook is kind of interesting. Definitely looks like a Halloween-based Pokemon, I think, but that is a ghost type, and evolves into Scaricious. Farming is very big in Scandinavia, especially in like old Scandinavian times. Lots and lots of farming. There was lots of crows and ravens. Had to keep them off the crops, so need a scarecrow. So we've got our ghost ground type. Now we have Passer Elf, which is very cute. I guess this is another side. This is maybe going into the North Pole. When you think of Santa, I wonder if there's a Santa Pokemon. We're going into our elves, which is a fairy type here. If you haven't yet, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel for lots more Pokemon content, or Passer Elf will make sure you don't get any presents for Christmas. It evolves into Slay Elf, which is a fairy fighting type, which is very interesting. Finally into Shamacine. It looks like we've got different berries and stuff, which is very cool. I like that a lot. And almost has like a bit of a Santa beard going on. Next, we have a Growlithe, the regional form, which is actually electric and dark, which is very cool. I love the colorings on this. Very, very different to our normal Growlithe. Obviously evolving into Arcanine, following the same color scheme, so that's really cool. But then there is a third evolution, which is called Thundrailer. It's actually an electric dragon type. This could be reference to Jormungandr, which is the sea serpent that envelops the world. It definitely has a shape that is like this and is kind of dragon sea serpent. You can kind of maybe see a connection there, which is interesting. Next, we have Waluga, which looks and sounds like a beluga whale. Whaling, especially a long time ago, was very, very important in Scandinavian countries. Evolves into Belurg, which is kind of cool. We've got our beluga whale, but now we've got like a glacier or an iceberg on it as well. Looks like it's got lots of scars on it. Next, we have Musker, which is based on the musk ox. Vikings used a lot for their furs and their pelts, and it evolves into Enormusk, which again on the musk ox. Very, very cool. Love that. I love the grass and the green around it. Oh, this one is interesting. Look at that typing. It's a dragon rainbow typing. But we have Dracaroon here, which is actually a thief Pokemon. It's holding a gem, kind of like a Sableye, but he's a very cute dragon. Evolves into Drakeef, but that looks kind of cool. Got gemstones along its tail and its head now. And then evolves into Dragrism, which must have dragon and prism together. Very, very cool. We've got that rainbow typing, but obviously rainbow gemstones along its tail as well. Next, we have a fairy steel type, which is Fairine, which you might not get the reference yet, but wait till I go to the next one. Valhalla. Once a Viking dies in battle, the Valkyrie will take it up to Valhalla, which is like heaven. So Valhalla, a Valkyrie kind of Pokemon, is perfect. I love that. And it's got little cloud wings on it as well, which match the Valkyries perfectly. And evolves into Valkyrian, which, oh, this looks so cool. I love the look of this. Looks like it's got a helmet and it's got a blade. Definitely like a Valkyrie. This is really, really nice. Next, we have Bitobait, which is like a similar Pokemon to kind of like Lantern, like an anglerfish kind of vibe, which is very cool. Looks very scary with the big teeth. Obviously got a Magikarp here, but what's really cool is that the Magikarp can actually be golden or like a shiny Magikarp on the end. Next, we got our regional form of Steel, which is actually a water fairy type. shape. So you can see he's got a bit of a fluffy mane and a bit more whiskers, evolving obviously into Dugong, which kind of fits the same vibe with that fluffy neck part around them. And then there's another evolution, Silky, which is very cool. Definitely on like a sea lion kind of vibe. This next one is very cool, a fire dragon type. Again, looking like a Viking ship, especially with the parts on the side that look like shields, because Vikings used to put their shields on the end of the boat. That's exactly what that looks like, which is very cool. Drapaloon. Next, Hogoldiat is very cool. There's actually some very cool ties to this to Norse mythology. There was a pig that had golden bristles and gold hair in Norse mythology that was owned by Freyr, and it was called Gullinbursti, which means that gold mane, which is very, very cool. So it must be a tie to that. There's also another pig which was owned by Freyr's sister Freya, which she actually rode into battle. Barbarian is a fantastic name, like Barbarian. That is very, very cool. I love that name. And it evolves into Bjorking, which is very cool. Bjorn, very popular Viking name. If you've seen the Viking show, you know all about Bjorn. I love that. It's got the scar on its face and stuff as well. And now I've got a regional Teddy Ursa, which is cool. A dark fairy type. Very, very interesting. We can see that the moon is kind of in a different way. No, it's not sideways anymore as a crescent moon. And we've got our Ursaring as well. Dark fairy again. Very, very nice. One of the most popular animals that are in the Nordic region are obviously deer and elk. So we've got Elkaby. That makes a lot of sense. The baby deer, that is very, very cute. I like that a lot. And evolves into Elklace. Very nice. Oh, I love the antlers. Kind of reminds me of Standler, how there's like a design in the antlers. And it's got like frosty hooves, which is nice. It's a normal ice type. Graphiz is very cool. That's actually called the hoax Pokemon, which makes sense. Maybe it uses like the grape as some bait. Evolves into Grapeconda, which is a very nice name. This snake looks a bit lazier. Next, we got Frozan, which is bug and ice. Obviously, as I said, going to be a lot of ice and cold references. Frozan evolves into Spearat, which looks very cool. Got a giant spear for its arm. And then finally into Colonical. That is very cool. Looks like a whole anthill, actually. And it's got some other ones that are around it as well. Another Halloween reference here, I think, which is a bug and dark type, Spiden. A spider jack-o'-lantern. A bug and fighting type, which is Mantaf, based off a praying mantis. It evolves into Mantombact, which is kind of cool, getting bigger now. And then finally into Samarantis, which is nice. Looks like a samurai, actually. Obviously based on Nordic at all, but still very cool. It's got a samurai helmet and it's got some blades on its arms, which are really nice. We've spoken a few times about wolves and their references in Nordic culture. Of course, we need a Houndour as well. This is Ghost and Steel type, which is very, very different. But instead of evolving into Houndoom, has a co-virgin evolution, which is Phantom, which is Ghost and Steel as well, which is very, very cool. Again, it's got those spiky collars, spikes on its back. Now, this is Skelliber, a ground and rock type. I did talk about another pig before, another wild boar that Freya actually rides into battle. That has to be referenced here as Skelliber. I love the skull that sort of makes the tusks as well. And like the bones along its back almost look like armor. That looks like a battling pig if I've ever seen one. The regional Lapras looks very cool. Obviously Lapras is already an ice Pokemon, but this is an ice dragon type. And it has, instead of the spikes on its back being from the shell, it's like spiky parts from an iceberg here. Now in our Norden region, we actually have 5 different fossils that can be used to make a new Pokemon. Our first one is Conjagnathus, which is 5 different Pokemon all in one, but they are conjoined, and that is a rock psychic type. We've got Pup Hero, which is very cute. Kind of looks like a baby rhinoceros, but has a big hill on its back, but it evolves into Gramrahorn, which is very, very cool. And it has the Nordic symbol here for the god Tyr, which is kind of like a T. So that's got an ancient rune almost scratched into it, which looks very cool. Another fossil is Polaris, which is very cool. Maybe the name is based on the North Pole, maybe, and it looks very, very tall. I think the Minior flying around it is just to show how tall the neck actually is, and it's like it's up in the skies, which is neat. Next we have Babooth, which is very cool. Looks like a mammoth kind of Pokemon, which makes a lot of sense for this kind of icy theme, and evolves into Ymirstodon, which is very interesting because Ymir is actually the father of all ice giants, and we've got definitely an ice Pokemon here, like fusing Ymir and mammoths together, and its bump on the back is huge. It even has a dinosaur skeleton in it, which is really, really cool, and I love that the tusks are made of ice as well. Predoris is very cool. This is from the sharp tooth fossil here, so this looks like a crocodile, a water rock type. Very, very nice. Another regional form. Now we've got Glameow, which is very cool. Obviously very different colorings and a different kind of vibe to Glameow. And our Purugly, of course, again looked very cool, very furry, which makes sense if you're in a very icy climate. But another evolution here, Purugly evolves into Permafrost, which is a very cool name. It kind of looks like a lynx or a puma or some kind of big cat like that. Tail looks very fluffy and warm. Crabram drum is really cool. Wow, that's like a drum. I love that. Next, trivial-ish. Gonna be a lot of aquatic Pokemon that live in the Norden region, of course. Kind of looks pretty basic as a fish, but it evolves into Sharkboard, which is very cool. Obviously, surfboard and a shark together. And now we have regional Rockruff, which is actually a steel type. Evolves into our Lycanroc. Again, looking very steely, especially in the coloring here. And our Midnight Lycanroc looks very cool. I love that, still like crazy looking in the eyes. Next is Bunlaze, which is a fire bunny Pokemon, and it evolves into Flamban. There are some rabbits up in the Scandinavian area. There is a Swedish hare, which is quite prevalent in Sweden, obviously. So that could be that reference there. Pretty cool is very cool. It looks like a hedgehog, which hedgehogs do exist in the Nordic region as well. I read a little story about how some people put out bowls of water to attract hedgehogs into their garden, which I think is very, very cute. Pretty cool evolves into Venupine, which is a steel poison type. Obviously looking very poisonous on those quills. Next, Plumper is very cute. It's like a Spheal, but in doggo form, which is very cute. Looks just like a ball, a normal ice type, and evolves into Plumpound. Again, very cute. Looks very friendly. Kind of reminds me of a Husky, maybe. It might be the tie there. Next, we've got a Ruddle, which definitely looks like a Druddigon or like a baby Druddigon, but I don't think there's a connection there. It evolves into Drockygon. So this might be like a convergent evolution. And next, we've got Champerong, which is an evolution for our Dunsparce. Personally, I think something like this would be a lot cooler than the Dunsparce. This is a dragon normal type. I feel this is what Dunsparce should have evolved into. And now we have an extra evolution for our Rockruffs, which is Fenristal, which is obviously tied to Fenrir, one of Loki's sons. Fenrir has a massive part to play in Ragnarok, so this is based on Fenrir, which is very, very interesting. Now we have a different evolution for a Doublade. Rather than Aegislash, we've got Mjolnir, which is perfect. Mjolnir is obviously Thor's hammer that he uses, and it looks like Aegislash, but obviously in a hammer, so that is a really cool reference. Nagbaker is very cool. Another fish kind of aquatic Pokemon. It's a water rock type. Again, has some more runes that are on its back as well. We've had quite a few Pokemon that have got some Nordic runes on it. Houndoom is very cool. That's actually a different evolution for Houndour. Instead of evolving to Houndoom, it can evolve into Houndoom, a ghost and ice type. I love it. I love the skulls on the shoulders and on the ankles, and it's got the spikes. It's got the horns. Buckdrasil is amazing. This is in reference to Yggdrasil, which is called the World Tree, which is ginormous. It has all the different realms coming off the World Tree. So Yggdrasil is a very important part of Nordic culture. And we've got Valhalla. The name sounds like Valhalla. This is a ghost and dragon type. Again, we've got another Viking ship kind of Pokemon, which is very cool. But I do love like the smoke around it. Has faces in it. So the smoke is actually part of the Pokemon. And now the new part that's in the Northern region actually has its own Ultra Beasts. So this first one is called Deathless Wraith, which is a ghost and rock type, and obviously looks like skeletons with some gravestones on its back, which is really cool. It's even got what looks like the Viking helmet on it as well. Giant Jotunus is very cool, based on the Frost Giants. Frost Giants have a lot to do in Norse mythology. Thor is always battling the Frost Giants, so there has to be a Frost Giant reference. I'm glad they had it as an Ultra Beast. That's really cool. Overheat Flamurnal is very interesting. Fire and rock type. I like that. It looks like it's got swords for arms. And we've got Borealis Aurale, obviously based on the Aurora Borealis, which is in the Northern Hemisphere. You can see in countries like Iceland and stuff like that. And now we've got Trickster Combhoax, which definitely looks like a jester in some way. Again, could be another tied to Loki, who is a prankster. Now we're going into the legendary Pokemon of Norden. This is Helodian. Now remember I spoke about Hell. Now there's a god called Hell, H-E-L. So this is based on that. It kind of looks like Arceus or maybe Giratina kind of fused together. Because there are the gates of Hell, I think it makes sense that we've got the gates that kind of like on Arceus as well. I wonder if that's a tie there. Very, very cool. Obviously dark, fiery kind of colors in there as well. And the opposite of that is a Theodil, which is a fairy flying type. Obviously has those gates looks as well. And that is it for the Pokemon of the Norden region. Now the next part is the gimmick. There's always a gimmick in Pokemon, like a Mega or a Dynamax or a Terrastalize. The gimmick here uses this item, the Spiritual Necklace, and it makes the Pokemon stronger, but there's a few Pokemon it can change the form of. So for example, for Araqueen, which is our grass starter Pokemon, we can see what it looks like here normally, but if it uses this necklace, it actually changes form to a very ethereal looking kind of form here. Our other starters, our unearthly mode for Infernal is very pink here, which is very interesting. And for our water Pokemon, definitely looks very holy in a way. It's like it's praying and it's got a big halo or a ring around it instead. And next is the rival team, your Team Rockets, your Team Plasmas, that sort of thing. And this is called the Valhalla Corporation. They've got their own grunts as well. And here are some of the leaders of the Valhalla Corporation. We've got Herman and Joanna, who's a co-founder. They do have a lot to do with the Legends and the the Ultra Beast if you read their specialization here. And now we have our Elite Four Magnus, which looks perfect. Great name, great look as well. Definitely looks like a Viking with his hair and his outfit and everything like that. So that is very cool, and you can see his team here. Next is Sigrid, which is very ice type, I guess, which looks kind of cool. I don't mind that at all, using lots of ice types. There are a lot of ice types in general in this region, which makes sense because it fits the theme of the region. We've got Holder, which is very cool, uses dark kind of Pokemon. And we've got Feria, which looks very cool as well. I like this look, using all the different forms of Lycanroc, it looks like here. And then our champion is called Vincent, which has a very cool team. And something that I noticed is it actually uses a shiny Pokemon in its team. So that is really cool to see a trainer, especially champion, with a shiny Pokemon on their team. So that is insane. I really hope you like going through the Norden region with me, guys. Lots of really cool ties to Nordic culture that I loved. I hope you loved it. If you did, make sure you subscribe by clicking down here and check out my Australia region if you haven't before as well. Cheers.